Good morning, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, namaskaram. I have great pleasure in welcoming you all here today, and especially our speakers, Dr. T. Satyamurthy and Dr. Muthu. Unfortunately, the third speaker, Dr. Rajendran, he confirmed even last evening, but then his wife has taken very ill, so he will not be able to join us today. So hopefully we will have his lecture another day. He sent the PowerPoint, but there's some problem with the script, Tamil script, so we can't make out what it says. So today's program is about temple architecture. We've been having programs on a lot of different areas of Indian art, Indian culture, Indian religion, and so on. Today, one area which we have neglected very badly is temple architecture. And of course, we have the eminent Dr. Satyamurthy, who will deliver the keynote address on the elements of temple architecture, and Dr. S. Muthu, Associate Professor and Head of the Department of Sanskrit in Vivekananda College, who will talk about temple architecture from Agama texts. Now, the Hindu temple evolved from simple rock-cut cave shrines to massive ornate temples, and these are spread all across the subcontinent. The essential elements of Hindu architecture are precise and harmonious geometry when viewed from all four sides and above: the square form, the grid, ground plans, soaring towers, and elaborate sculpture. From about the 1st century CE, current era, spread across the subcontinent. I think that was a very major, important thing, because the whole concept of bhakti involved the faith, the belief in a personal deity. And the old Vedic deities were replaced in importance by deities who are aspects of Shiva, Vishnu, and Devi. And these became the central figures of Hinduism in this current era. The temple was regarded as the dwelling place or the Devalaya of a particular deity. It was therefore a sacred place, Tirtha, where heaven and earth met. And as the home of a deity, it had to be a suitably splendid palace, prasada. Unlike other religions, Hindus need not attend regular services, but when you go, you circumambulate the temple, and when you circumambulate, you see all the beautiful sculptures. They're not just there for decoration, they're a part of the temple. They are a message that the temple is giving about the triumph of good over evil, which is what all our Puranic stories, epic stories are about, the triumph of good over evil. Influenced by early Buddhist structures such as the stupa, the first Hindu temples were built from rock-cut caves. We can see that in Mamallapuram, and repeated the idea of relief panels, decorative window forms, the famous Chaitya windows, and so on. It was with the arrival of the Gupta period, the Gupta architecture, from about the 4th century onwards, that the first freestanding Hindu temples were constructed with features such as towers and projecting niches. But the earliest temples did not have the towers. In fact, earlier this year, I was fortunate to go to Tigawa in Madhya Pradesh, Bhumi Devi out of the ocean. So they brought out the glory of the religion in these small cave temples, not very large. And Udaygiri is in Malwa, it goes back to the 5th century. And the early freestanding temples survive at Devgarh in Madhya Pradesh, which includes the beautiful 6th century Dashavatara temple with so many sculptures of Vishnu, and one of which I used for the cover of my first publication on the iconography of Vishnu Narayana. Directions. Built on an elaborately carved platform, the Adhisthana, the temple is often referred to in ancient texts on architecture, such as the Agamas and the Vastu Shastra, which we are looking forward to hearing about. It is the sacred mountain, Meru or Kailasa, the dwelling of Shiva in the Himalayas. Indeed, seen from above, many Hindu temples with their multiple towers look very much like a mass of mountains. So you can imagine once upon a time they would have tried to recreate the Himalayas in these temple complexes. The 11th century Khandariya Mahadev temple at Khajuraho, 12th century Raja Rani at Bhubaneswar, and Angkor Wat in Cambodia are outstanding examples of this mountainous effect. The most important part is of course the Garbhagriha. Garbhagriha is the womb chamber. I don't know how else to describe the Garbhagriha, which is a small windowless room located at the heart of the temple. A symbol or representation of a specific deity is placed inside, and it is believed that energy flows out of the Garbhagriha and pervades the entire temple complex. As I said, the early temples such as Tigawa and Gupta temple number 4, all in Madhya Pradesh, they consisted only of Garbhagriha and an open veranda. But later on, they added the Ardha Mandapa, the Mandapa, and so on, which of course became our big temples. Even more impressive above the Garbhagriha was constructed the Shikhara, which in the south is known as the Vimana. And the earliest examples of these beautiful temples are the Durga temple at Aihole, and the most ornate is probably the Nataraja temple at Chidambaram. Architecture evolved differently in different regions, such as Orissa, Kashmir, Bengal, South India. But two general types are identified, the Nagara Vimana and the Dravida Vimana. The Shikhara or the Vimana in the Nagara style has a sloping curve as it rises with decorative arches topped by an amalaka, which is a large fluted stone disc and also sometimes a small pot and finial. In contrast, Dravida Vimanas are more dome-like with cornices. It is a stepped pyramid with multiple tiers, each one smaller than the previous. So it's like really a pyramid style. And I went to Egypt, and the earliest pyramid is absolutely based on the same style. Afterwards, of course, they covered up the sides in the pyramids. But the early ones in Memphis and so on are just stepped pyramids. So Vimanas are also in the south decorated with intricate carvings and sculptures, and in the south, of course, you have a tank, you have a Nandi Mandapam, and so on. The 11th century Brihadishwara temple complex in Tanjavur is a wonderful example incorporating all these features, and probably the most incorporated is the Madurai Meenakshi temple, which has everything that we are talking about. So beginning with humble caves and squat, flat roof temples, the temple architecture for Hindu temples evolved over the centuries, and despite some regional variation, arrived at a standard arrangement, which involved a huge walled complex with massive decorated gateways. These became the great Gopurams of South India, giving entrance to a sacred space of smaller shrines, dominated by the main temple and its series of towers. The design has become so standardized that it is copied even today in temples from New Delhi to New York. So with this, I have great pleasure in welcoming you, and I thank our guests for coming and sharing their knowledge with us today.
Before I invite Dr. T. Satyamurthy sir, a brief introduction about, it's a formal, so brief introduction about him. Born and brought up in Chidambaram, Kovil in Saivam, another Kovil Srirangam. Dr. T. Satyamurthy sir joined the Archaeological Survey of India as curator in the 70s. Till his retirement in 2006, he conducted many excavations, including the investigation in Adichanallur, Tamil Nadu. During his service, he could undertake various conservation works in different monuments and published more than 100 research papers. The books published by him include the Nataraja Temple, Chidambaram. His discovery of Tamil Sangam Age Muruga Temple in Salavankuppam of Mamallapuram is a turning point in the art history of the Tamil Nadu. As Director of Archaeology, Kerala government during 1993, he excavated the archaeological site in Mangadu, Kollam district, and fixed scientifically the dates of Iron Age in Kerala. At present, he is heading the Academy of Archaeology and Sciences of Ancient India, educational wing of Reach Foundation, Chennai, and NGO engaged in promoting researches in heritage studies. He is also the Honorary Secretary of Dr. U.V. Swaminatha Aiyar Library, Kalakshetra, Chennai, founded by Srimati Rukmini Arundel. Sir, I don't take much time. We are very eager to listen to your speech. Thank you.
And also, again, I'm very happy to be here because every time it's more emotional because I could come to this level because of Dr. Ramaswami Aiyar only, because he gave a special scholarship to me to read Sanskrit MA in 1977. Most of you not born. He was a great, not only Sanskrit, all versatile scholar in all the fields. Of course, ever I remember him. Also, I am very much thankful to Nandita Madam for inviting me for such occasions. Because it is very, I may be knowing something or telling something, but it is more important that is how the people receive. That is, as you know in the Shastras, Jignasa. Those who would like to know the things, to them, if it is passed over. Because in the course of my time, I don't know how long I can take. I don't know.
30 minutes, sir.
So, that is, I may share some of the experiences which I gained from the great people like K.V. Soundararajan, K.R. Srinivasan, Satyamurthy, all the great people. I was very fortunate to have them with us and also teach us. Some of them, I, out of my own knowledge, it may come to you, but you will not be knowing. Because I am also going direct into this, other styles of these temples, because our great scholar, of course, professor is there. He is Swadhyaya Prajanabhyam Na Pramadidavyam. He learned it and also he teaching. That was missing for us. We were not teaching. We were only learning. We will not even share it. We may share it in such a platform or even in writing, which will be published in foreign magazines, which people may not read here. So that is a thing, problem. So he is doing a great service. Of course, Rajendran is respected, I think, in Tamil and Silpa text also. So now the important aspect is, I'll come to the subject because the time is very short, but deal more on the architectural point of view. especially how this, we know, Madam told about the sanctum, I mean the Garbhagriha. The Garbhagriha is a very holy place. So our scientific knowledge or the systematic shastras, whatever you call it, even Sthapatis, who constructed this temple, who made these temples, made after much experiments, they have learned the technique of bringing this macrocosm to microcosm. That is a sanctum. The sanctum is full of energy. That is the reason why people go to the temple just to want to see the sanctum. Of course, it's not necessary for them to, they may not have time to stand there. If you go to Tirupati or many sanctums, they may not have even for a few seconds, fraction of a second. But what do they gain? Why do they again and again go to the such temples or even to the temples? Because we know that is saturated energy there. How this energy is concentrated and it is brought. That is this, our technique, and also the Sthapatis of our great India have done it. So the macrocosm to bringing the energy and making it to constantly that is stand there, that is a technique was adapted. That is, we call it Sthapatya, or in some other name also we can call. That is the reason why people go frequently to the temples, and also that is even for a fraction of a second they want to stand and come out. They may not worship. Of course, that is the reason why there is again and again they go, that is being perpetuated. Of course, the architectural style brings it. It is being retained by mantras and everything. That is a ritualistic point or even other points. But the basic thing is, as you know, the energy, even though, of course, I wrote an article in BBC on how the people that is in ancient India, the lightning conductors were there. That is lightning conductors, we have got buildings. Lightning conductors were, that is recently discovered about 300 years, 250 years back by Westerners, both Britishers and also by, I think, from French people also. But that techniques was known to them earlier. I am not going to present it today, some other occasions. The techniques was known to them. This, when I published in BBC, they were very surprised to know that is all these tall buildings, of course, even Tanjavur temple or anything are standing without lightning affected by the lightning conductor for thousands of years. How it happened? So that is a technique. We will come to it little later. But anyway, the aspect is, now before going to this today's topic, I would like to say that is the main temple architecture is recognized Silpa text. That is, of course, that is professor will talk about that. But now there was a dialogue between the architects and also architects means Sthapatis, and also these Silpa text scholars, maybe the whoever it may be, who have written or who experienced, who was specialized. The thing is that is which came first, whether these texts were written and then the temples were constructed, or the temples were constructed and on the basis of that texts were written. This is a dialogue going for the past 100 years at least. Of course, started in 1934, where it's gravely of Egmore Museum. She conducted one conference with T.N. Ramachandran. Of course, they published the report, result also. But there they given Silpa text and all the types of sikaras, and also how it affects. That was more on to introduce Silpa text. So this architectural point of view was lacking. It was not directly involved in that particular conference in 1934, about 100 years back. But anyway, there is later so many progress happened. Of course, we have to dedicate more to this His Holiness, because that is hearing all the dialogues. That is, he came first to that is organize that is Silpagama Sadas, where he invited the scholars of traditional scholars and also the engineers and archaeologists, and have a dialogue to understand that is a temple architecture. Because the problem with our Indian syllabus is the temple architecture, engineers may be knowing more about the Western architecture, or RCC, whatever bridges are there, but it is not in our syllabus. It was not in our syllabus. Even now it is not in our syllabus. So the engineers, the modern engineers, know better only about the present day materials. They were not knowing anything about the ancient day materials, how it was used, what are the techniques adapted, what are the things, how it sustained it. A simple technique, but it sustained thousands of years. Of course, we don't know how long all these modern buildings will stand, but there you can see that we have got specimens of 1,000 years old, 1,200 years old, 1,300 years old. As Madam told, Gupta temple, a simple temple which is 300 BC. Of course, we have got in South India a special architecture known as Kadambas. Kadambas are the earliest people from Karnataka. They are dated to 2nd century Common Era, 3rd century Common Era. They constructed these temples, which was not neglected. It was not at all studied for a long time. Now only people, there is project because Kadamba Rekara was a suppressed tale, that is, which was taken away. But anyway, there is, we have got all the things which were saturated before 3rd century or 2nd century CE, Common Era. But what about the Silpa text? Can we place the Silpa text earlier than that or later than that? But now there are temples, or there may be the structures which are constructed on the basis of Silpa text. But Silpa texts have written on the basis of the structures already existed, experimented. The experiment was made and saturated, and then they would have come. Of course, you cannot come to a conclusion unless otherwise we give a definite date to the Silpa text. There is various texts varying from region to region. That is, of course, if you go to even Oriya, we have got Sanskrit text and Orient text also. So these are some of the problems which was existing. But he first organized a conference. Of course, Silpagama, that is a conference that is in many places called and subsequently discussed. Of course, Dr. Ramaswami was directly involved in that, and then we find. Of course, now, following this American Institute of Indology, Varanasi, of course, they took interest. The first people to come forward. Even Archaeological Survey of India has started one separate survey knowing temple surveys, a temple survey project for North and South, where the architectural survey of temples were done. First the Pallava temples in South, and in North also similarly they have taken. Some earlier temples. But American Institute of Indology, Benares, of course, they taken a very wide sense. Throughout India, they have documented. They have publications even now. Of course, most of them are available. Maybe it's reprints. It's documented almost all the regions, south, west, north, all, and they published it. And numerous models opened a new scope to study. That is very important. Of course, simply classifying is into three, Nagara, Vesara and Dravida. Of course, I am not going to that aspect now. The Dravida is also a style. We cannot say it is a region or say it is a style, according to Silpa text. So there are styles, numerous models, even there were ramifications. So many things developed. All these things slowly were documented and brought to notice by this American Institute. So that gives, of course, Westerners generally say they Silpa text. So that is a reason why we say Silpa text are not mere text, but they correlate with the structures. The structures development and also this evolution is recorded in the Silpa text. That is things which we want to mention. But they say, of course, they say the scope of your construction is restricted, because the Silpa text fixes so many things. It fixes not only in art, in architecture also. Of course, he may talk about this architecture also, human also. So little options to exhibit his proficiency, that is the thing. They say that the artist or the art historian or even architect have nothing to do But what we are seeing today, that is in the holistic ground, is it cannot explain anywhere because the models are numerous. Not one or two. In Tamil Nadu itself, we will say there is variations. Tamil Nadu, we cannot say it is only one particular model was adapted. Also, it lacks innovation. That is the criticism. Of course, generally they say it's monotonous. If you fix a model, if the temples are constructed only on the models, of course, the Vimana may be a model which has to bring back this energy, but it is monotonous to see, and where the architects has no individuality to design. That is the criticism. Of course, routine execution, it is not there. Of course, now it's followed by K.R. Srinivasan, K.V. Soundarajan, of course, Satyamurthy, Krishnadeva, Sarkar and Devela Mitra. So many scholars studied all the regional things. And they gave of course, some of the models. And also they explained how it developed. Of course, K.V. Soundarajan, Mahalingam, I left here. Professor Mahalingam also. They have done an excellent work, small but very beautiful works. Of course, South Indian Temple Complex, a lecture given by Professor Mahalingam, is a small book published in Dharwad. It covers all the South Indian temples. A student can understand that is what is South Indian, what is salient features, what are the things in this, what are the elements adapted either vertically or even horizontal growth. Everything is there in that book. The contemporary period also same, the Dharwad University, that is K. Soundarajan published one book, that is early Karnataka architectures and its ramifications. Just even different types, not a small type of temple, but how it ramified. Pattathakal, Aiyar, he has taken everything into a group. And he has given a beautiful book, of course. I don't know whether the book is available, but it is a beautiful book. Satyamurthy, of course, he has written much on the Chola temples, and also Krishnadeva and North Indian temples. Sarkar, of course, Kerala temples. Of course, I got to pay my homage to him because I started my career under him only. That is in 1970. That is things. So again, well, these are the models. I don't want to show much models because of the, I think other scholar, Rajendra will show it. But anyway, this is the model. At the same time, you cannot simply say a Dravida Vimana at particular place. Of course, in Karnataka itself, we find so many models. That is, Aihole, Pattathakal, you see all the models. Of course, I will come to the conclusion a little later, what they have done. You see the model. It is Pattathakal. In case is vertically, the Vimana is divided. So, now horizontal divisions. So K.V. Soundarajan, after studying all the temples, of course the style is different. The style is simply that is on the Sikha. Obviously, as you identify a person on seeing a face, if the Sikha is a particular type, means either Vesara or Nagara, of course you know Vesara is a circle or even Nagara is a square, and also if it is octagonal, it is Dravida. That is, you can recognize. Of course, there is restrictions. Of course, in North Indians, from top to bottom, it should be square. That is the thing, top to bottom. That is, while in South Indian context, it is little vary, only the Gala. From Gala, there is, if it is octagonal, you can call it Dravida. If it is circle, you can call it what you call Vesara. That is given in the Sripa text. But I am not going into that. So he gave a thing that is whatever is vertical divisions, that is in Indian entire context, holistic context, it is a North Indian order. We cannot say style, in North Indian order. Whatever is horizontal divisions, it is South Indian order. We don't say it is a style, but order to identify the temples. That is how, because it requires, of course, we are not going deep into this engineering aspect of it. Of course, constructing a temple that is vertically is different from constructing a temple that is horizontally. Because the horizontal, there is space. Of course, there again, there is Arpita, Anarpita types are coming. Maybe you can go round, that is each and every tire. It is easy to maintain it. Of course, for archaeologists like us, if there is a repair in Gangagodapuram, I could go there and see where it leaks, because I could walk there. There is little scaffolding, even without scaffolding also you can climb and see it. That is advantage of the South Indian order. Of course, that is reason why we don't just style South Indian order. In North Indian order, it's very difficult. Of course, I was in Orissa is mostly the adapt North Indian order. Division is there. When I was in Puri, that is, if there was a problem in the tower, you have to go to the top and come. There is break in between. So there you cannot go. If you want to see the ceiling, you would repair the ceiling. Of course, as an archaeologist in charge of the Puri temple in 2000, there was a leakage, but we have to scaffolding. We have to rise to the top. Of course, whenever the main deity is taken out, only this during Ratha Yatra, we could do the work. So we could enter there. This is the problem in North Indian orders. While in South Indian orders, the architecture is different. The South Indian architects, especially more in Tamil country. Of course, I am not going more into the details because Karnataka also adapts. But there is variations in the inner position. Of course, here we got a very, very, very good inner position where we got an inner wall and outer wall, where also there is a core wall that is in almost all the Tamil country. Of course, from Pallava period starts. Cholas patronize it. In Tanjavur also, if you go, there is we call it a stone temple, but up to third floor, there will be a masonry wall going. That sustains, of course, that retains, that gives more strength to the superstructure. We'll come to this later. So this is a thing which we are in Patanaga. The early dynastics patronized regional models. That is the reason. The Chalukyas, Badami, you have seen Pallavas, they have the Thondamandalam, and Pandyas all over Tamil Nadu they have done. Of course, nobody is miners, Alupas, Ais, Kadambas of Manavasi. Kadambas of Manavasi's contribution so great. They gave the real engineering skill. Of course, even we say, even the Pallavas, that is earlier fought with the Kadambas, but they have to accommodate Kadambas later. That is about 6th century AD. When the Pallavas were fighting with others, it was only Kadambas who helped them. So Kadambas were the people who first introduced in the elements of justice, keeping the stone one over the other. That is what we call it friction. All the temples constructed after the Kadambas, style of the Kadambas, even Mahamallapuram, if you go, the Shoy temple is not having any binding materials between one block and another block, but it is only there is on its own weight. It is a friction between the two stones that stands. This style came from Kadambas. Of course, we say archaeologically it is very important to understand this Kadambas who started. But later they changed it. Of course, this was a style adapted in even a short temple. But when the structural temple even in Kanchipuram, they let it change. They keep inner wall. This is one of the simplest Jyotirlinga, temple of the Saigale. That is how it exists. What Madam also told about the simple hall that is in of course Gupta period. More or less the contemporary, a little later than that only. That is there also, but they raised the wall. There was open. This if you know some, there is only in. Temple number 17 of course, North India, 17, temple number 17. That you have got the same model. You can see, this was open mandapa type. This is simple types where this simply they made only, there is two slabs to stand. But how they change the style is later we will see it. You see. This is the smaller things which they developed. But here the interesting aspect is the dead load is on the pillar only. You can see. It's another model where the thing is what we are going to see the distinction of the Tamil Nadu temple is here in the early period onwards. They have started only having a solid blocks in the lower part. This is a very, very most good element which they raise up to the top. Of course, not very high height. It is only very minimum height. But in Tamil Nadu, we got a different models. We will see it later. You see, so also the Chalukyan architectures of this main hall, slowly they converted into a temple. We don't have a temple at that time. Simply they made a hall with a superstructure, small superstructure. They also have it. This is in evolution, the Satyamurthy has developed this theory. In evolutions, that is it started. You get the God in the first floor also. These are all small shrines. Mandapas converted into, that is, temples. It's a plan elevation. Of course, there are so many stages which developed. As I wanted to say you, when the Silpa text came, also Silpa text formed, that is on the basis of this temple which evolved. They did the experiments. They came to conclusions and then perpetuated it by giving a standard models that is in the Silpa text. That is, Silpa text helps for later people to adapt it. This is thing. We'll get Sivalaya. Of course, Virupaksha temple is an old one. Now it is recently conserved. Now this coming to this Tamil Nadu itself, we got all these models. Of course, we generally say these are all the models of what we call of the wooden structures which were earlier there. That is archival records of the earlier structures which were in wood. Of course, if you see some of them, even the second one from the side, that is Bhimarata. It is only made of bamboos. That is that we find in even in agendas and such models we find even in almost all the northern temples we find in this model. So this is the model which they adapted. See again this Dravida model. Of course, it's a rocket temple, so we don't have much structural problem here. But they are given a style. There is for structural temples also, where this vimanas, which we call it Dravida Vimana, but it is southern order, where you can go to each and every floor and inspect and also know. Of course, this is Dharmaraja Radhaka's sculptures also. Probably it was in worship. Of course, later we developed, there is in Vaishnava science, they developed 3 tiers will be there and 3 modules of Vishnu will be there in many of the temples. This is what I meant. It's only without binding material. It's only structurally kept. That is what we call it. We call it as there is a friction between these stones, and also it stands on its own weight. There is a thing. Of course, this is one of the earliest structural temple. Of course, in Mamallapuram. Of course, it is a very, very small model which they have shown to the people. This all maybe date about 700 AD. You see. Again, we got Panamalai, the same Dravida model with these horizontal divisions. In Tanjavur, Brihadishwara, here we got this, even though Tanjavur and Gangavir Swaparam are contemporary or more or less contemporary, that is within 100 years. We got differences in style. There is a Sanarpita, we cannot go and stand in each and every tier. Here you can go and stand and inspect. So what I want to mention is different models were tried, modules were tried, and then they standardized the thing. You see, these are very important temples, Vidyalaya Choleswaram in Narthamalai. You see the plan in elevation it changes. The main plan it is square, but it is inside is circular, there is a sanctum. Again it becomes square and again circular. So we would call it stylistically it means Vesara, but it has all the elements. You can see it in different way. You just now you can see it, how this some is square, it is converted into a circle. Of course, this is a thing, if the inner arrangements is done in Tanjavur also same way, all stone, that is the thing. This is in plan. course, the entire sanctum is square from outside, but its inside is what you call it. It is only a circle. Again, if you go to the top, again it is square and circle. There is you can see. They meticulously calculated, because our important thing is generally people attribute, that is the pi, 22 by 7, to calculate the radius of the circle. We learned it from only Westerners. It's not like that. How he has done it? It is Tanjavur. How he has from circle, the square, how he converted to circle. That is meticulously planned. Each and every stone they go to plan and bring it and calculate it and bring it. So this is done. Of course, this Kerala model where we have got a circular set, but there is a sign inside. This is a general model of Kerala. Even though there is a reason why Sarkar called it is Dravida Kerala style. Of course, because even the Kerala has got a curvilinear roof outside, but inside it is a Dravida Mana. Almost all the temples in Kerala are having Dravida Mana, almost Dravida Mana or some other Mana inside. So this is a Dravida Kerala style, you call it. Of course, KVS they have done horizontal. I told you, vertical divisions are classified as northern. This is the simple way of understanding the architectural patterns. Of course, according to them, it's eco-friendly. They are not exploited many materials, whichever is locally available, they use. Models are adapted on the basis of the native residential architecture. That is whatever is native architecture, they have adapted. In North India, it was different. In South India, it is different. So, regionals. Standardization of brick and lime, that is very important. Brick and lime, even those we got inscriptions, Magadha Roman's inscriptions, which he says that he has converted, that is, he has not used the perishable materials like brick and mortar. But brick and mortars were used. We got temples more than 1,000 years old, which stood, that is, which are brick and mortar. Of course, constructed mostly with bricks, early temples. Of course, even in Cholas in Tamil Nadu, converted almost many of the temples into stone, thinking that the brick may not be made such and long. So the 6th century AD only brick was the material used. Till 6th century AD, only brick was the material. Of course, as we found in Solomon Kuppam, which we excavated, Muruga temple, which we identify as Muruga temple, there we find that is the brick temple was there. Of course, it has fallen down not because of its sturdiness, or because of the other aspects or other problems, because of it was near the sea and because of the tidal wave. Of course, reversible materials, that is very important in element in Indian architecture, especially in Tamil Nadu architecture. It is very important that is the use of only reversible materials. That is important. Of course, if brick is there, there's a crack is there. We have done hundreds of monuments where the crack even in the brick temples can be stitched. There's a reversible. We can use it. If the stone monuments are there, even Tanjavur, if a crack is there in the beam, that is, you can change it. The particular beam only you can change it. You can reverse it back. That is the important aspect of the Tamil Nadu architecture, because it is reversible materials, more space for inspections during distress. That is a thing that is in Sandara type or Irandara type. Of course, what we say, if there is a crack in the temple, that is, it gives you a scope to study why the crack is there. It is not simply if you see a building, crack is there, pull it down, not like that. But you can analyze it, why this has come. Is it due to settlement, or there is uneven settlement, or settlement? Of course, we don't have much cases where it was, the distress was due to the foundation. Foundations are not here, very high. Foundations even for Tanjavur, if you go, it may not be more than 10 feet, not even 10 feet. Of course, but the thing is the style, except the materials they use sustains it. So that is not, so it gives scope. There's a crack, that is, you can inspect and you come to a conclusion. Of course, more important aspect of our temples is, they are not mere, don't take it only, we go for only worship, but they are astronomical instruments. They are thousands years they stand. That's how it withstood. Of course, recently some people were taken for research. Some of the temples have tilted 8 to 18 degrees. That's what in Karnataka some people came to me also showing, sir, this temple, Sankustapana is a thing in ancient time where they fix there is a east-west line. Of course, it is a scientific manners of fixing the line. But now there is small tilting in this, in almost the temples. That shows, of course, within this 1,000 years, these are not the temples of modern, they are 1,000 years old temples. Within these 1,000 years, the possibility of there is a change that is in the environment or anything. There is the environmental people are not taking this into cognizance. They say only modern or say other things. But our temples itself are astronomical instruments. It can be studied thoroughly. That is, they can take a temples in particular region and say, because our Sthapatis, they never committed mistakes, maybe very minor. They were very, very particular. In the north, east, or even any line, they are very particular because they depend upon only sun. They are not taking the line like that. The sun, of course, Sankustapana is a separate subject. I don't know you are going into deal or not, but this is a separate subject. But they fix on scientific manner only. There is east-west line. So this is an astronomical instrument. This is the modern, of course, the astronomers can also take it. Of course, the trace in the excavated archaeological remains. Archaeological remains give over the earlier things are there. Technologies that evolved guidelines for the building the activities. Because what we want to learn from these temples, elements are there, how we can plan for the future. Because they are the structures which are standing for thousands of years. At least 1,000 years, if you take Tanjavur, earlier structures are there, at least 400, 500 years. So what we can learn from that, that is a very important aspect of this project. Of course, different models and elevations reflect the civil and structural engineering skill. That is the thing. While they go in the top, there is of course, unfortunately, you don't have much opportunity to go and see the inner parts of the temple. Inner parts of the temple, if you can go and see, you will be surprised, you will not come back, because each and every minutely they have calculated and they brought it to that level. The engineering, civil engineering skill is so great. Architects known as Sthapatis had great knowledge at that time. And different faculties like, of course, different faculties work together to construct a temple. Not only there, of course, there is a different subject we will go. Of course, now coming to this archaeological remains, of course, now we get to go for Kaveri Pampattinam's style, how it was in Tamil Nadu. How this, you have seen the evolution in Karnataka, some structures you have seen, but we have seen some of the earlier structures. Of course, we are very much thankful to Dr. K.V. Raman. Professor K.V. Raman, who has first excavated this site and first said the structures. You leave away the temple, this Buddhist monument, but structures, there is what is the width and what was the other plan, he has said. Of course, I am very thankful to this CPR center for recognizing his service by making him and giving him an award for a lifetime achievement. I think 2 or 3 years back, he got the lifetime achievement only here. So that was a great thing he has done. He has just excavated. Of course, excavation process is a little difficult, because if you miss some structures, you are destroying it. So very carefully he brought back the structures. Even though it is Buddhist, that is, he has brought the structures, the thickness of the wall. You can see. Of course, you can see this also in Nagajanagunda, this thing. Because the thickness of the wall, you can see. That is how the brick. But here in this, even though the brick is there, the brick has clay as a that is binding material in elevation. You can see that is in some of the temples, massive structures. Most of the archaeological sites excavated have these massive structures, but only brick. Of course, chambers and brick. This is also in Kaveri Pampattinam. which he excavated. You can see the plan. Of course, like a plan. You can see many structures like this. Of course, even Arikyamedu, this structure was recognized. Because the problem is at that times they were not having the knowledge whether it is a superstructure building or not. They simply said it may be only a dyeing pond, because they have got a dye making some process there, the outside. So they concluded and they said, but they are all structures, they are all buildings. That is, they were all maybe even a temple. Of course, the Keynote also recently they brought it, but they have not recognized as a temple. This reason, this one. Chambers of bricks. Of course, now this conjectural view is a very important aspect of our lecture, because this conjectural view shows that is the walls are there. As I showed in this, the trench is filled up with earth or sand. That is the reason. So the thrust will be only on the walls. The thrust will not be high to pull it down. These things, if it is strong materials inside, the thrust engineering students will know. Always there will be thrust on side walls. The side walls would have collapsed. So here you are seeing that is how they have erected this. Of course, the conjectural view. How they should be. Only sand is there. All the open trenches are filled up with sand only. So this is a structural view how it would have looked. This is Tamil Nadu, that is where we find. This is where I excavated that is in the Murugan temple in 2005. We could find the same things here also. You can see this is in total the temple. You can see the width. You can see the wall that is inside sanctum. This is also filled up with only sand, which we scooped out to know what is there. So the walls will have a thrust, will not have a thrust. The structure will be there. Of course, this structure has fallen because of it is very, very in the vicinity of the sand, and there will be tectonic movement and also maybe a tsunami. Of course, the tsunami was there. That we also discovered twice in round about 350. There was a tsunami, which we discovered because of this structure, because it is very near to sea. So and again about 950 or 940, there was another tsunami, which we found the deposits. That is in the section. This is the plan, how it is there. The massive structure is there, but the inner was filled with only sand. That is a very important aspect of our architecture, which is this problem, or which is this, that is principle, which they followed till the end. You can find, even Tanjavur, if you go, the center will be only, there is a unfilled earth. Lower part, unfilled is only, is up to the top, it will be only, gap will be there, you can see. This is the temple, that is which we excavated. Another temple we excavated after the tsunami, near the shore temple itself. There also you can see, it is a structural temple. Of course, near the shore temple. There also the center part was open, even the stone temple, not only brick, even in stone temple, maybe contemporary to it is a shore temple, it is filled up with the sand. Because we come to another important temple. So, another important temple, this is also a brick temple, there is Vittir the Perumal temple of the Vapathur, near, of course, Kumbhavanam. The very important aspect of this temple is here the Perumal is seated. That is where it is declaring almost contemporary to there is Srirangam. It is contemporary to Srirangam. This main statue was only there is stucco. Later it is weathered away and replaced with a stone one during Vijayanagara period. That also about to collapse. So that is of course Mahaperiva told about 100 years back. That is he told 80 years back. This was about to collapse. They have brought down and kept the statue, this image. You worship it in a small scale. This temple was made, of course, where it is accommodated. You can see there is a area where it is near Kaveri. Kaveri flood was there, which affected this temple very much in the ceiling. This is the temple. But interesting aspect is, we learned so many things from this in the structure. Even though it's dilapidated, Maybe it's not even people go, very difficult to go even near to it. They may be scared to go near it. But it gives so many lessons, and it also gives scope for reconstructions without altering its characteristics. That is the aspect of the Tamil Nadu architecture, especially our native architecture. Because in places like Karnataka, where I am not going deep into it, there this it is collapsed, it is collapsed. But here it is not like that. You see, seeing after the removal of these shrubs, you are seeing the temple. So these things, it is, of course, at least for the past, last maybe about 300 years back, they would have worshipped it. Of course, because of the thing, there was a flood, and also it was not, people were not cared to take it. Of course, there is a Agargara there, but they never cared to take care of it. And of course, it is so much dilapidated. You cannot imagine that is how much it can be. You can see there is a temple is having inside sanctum is having 3 layers of paintings. One Pallava, Chola, and also this Vijayanagara period. All the layers. Of course, it is now only traces are there. Layers. Of course, 3 layers of mural paintings. Pallava, Chola, and Vijayanagara periods. Continued patronage till the Nayaka period, because we get some Nayaka, of course, sculptures are there. The temple is abandoned during 17th century, probably. That is the reason why it is there. A pre-Pallava phase, that is important aspect. We have got a, rather, we may say, it is having a plinth of Sangamage. That is a problem. The brick of the Sangamage period were there up to the plinth. Over that only we find a temple constructed with that is Pallava period structures. You can see after exposing, doing excavations by some archaeologists, you can see these are the molded bricks which they use. These are the bricks which they were in the structure. The last one you are seeing, that is Sangamage bricks, which we find in other sites like even Kavaripattinam and all other most sites, 17 inches, 24 inches. There is a measured these things. Proportion is there. So most of the temples that shows the plinth was constructed during the period of that is Sangam period. So you can see it is having niches all the 4 sides. Of course, it was repaired many times. It was preserved by later time. Of course, you are finding a Pallava period edifices abetting it. This is a very important aspect. Whenever they wanted to, that is, give a gap or put a bridge between one structure and another structure, they would do only this arch, this what we call corbels, the corbel arch. This is there all the 3 sides, corbel arch. The corbel is a very important aspect because we don't have, there is of course circular arch that is till about 100 years, 200 years back. This of course when the Marathis came, they only brought it. So this is a native style where we got the corbel arch. There is inside which is bearing the weight of the, that is first floor, I mean the top level. So this is the thing which can find. This we scanned it with the, of course, whether we wanted to do explore it and do whether we can do conservation on this, because it gives scope for of course I told you reversible materials which you can reconstruct. So we scanned the entire, found the inside is very intact. This is the scan was done by IIT Chennai. You can see this even below the structure how it is so strong. This is the very important thing. Because from all sides you scan. Then of course inside you are finding, of course originally it was a stucco only, Vishnu seated, beautiful figure it would have been, now it is, we have lost it. These are the 3 different levels to show you. Because this is the niches, 4 niches. This is the plan of this, as we envisage, that is we, of course, archaeologically if you want to go ahead, you have to make the original plan, then only you can do. Interestingly we find, not only the central sanctum was, that is filled with sand, but there were another 6, of course, what you call pits. Pit means structure only, but filled with sand only. That is the structures, because it gives additional strength to the main one. And also they are not Why I am showing this is contrary to the North Indian monuments. The contemporary period, if you go to North Indian, even your Nalanda, is brick structure, but it's solid. But here they have saved the brick and also give more strength to this. Of course, there are so many conservation problems. Here there is a withstood because people are not. You see the plan and the elevation. You can see elevation. We brought it back because with the available drawing. You can see there is not only sanctum. Outside also there were trenches of square grids where they filled with only sand. This is keeping it open or keeping the central things without any objects or any materials, obligatories, is the style of South India, especially Tamil Nadu. Inner sanctum, inner walls up to plinth were filled with sand only. Abutting the structures, including the Ardha Mandapa, which is not yet repaired, we have to do it. It prevents extra thrust on the wall. Superstructures are simple corbels, of course corbels you have seen it. Inner space is blank column. This is the important aspect. Whatever they were risen, of course totally the temple from the bottom to top will be 90 feet. Of course this is 60 feet. 60 feet this is, but this the main bottom line will be only the wall. The wall bears, so we started attempting to do whether we can conserve it. So we started doing it. You can see that is by strengthening, of course, pilferage. The local people, whenever they wanted some brick for some purpose, they used to take the bricks. So there's so much of pilferage. It was only hanging, but it didn't fall. That is an important aspect because of the lime and brick, which is holding. Lime and brick, if it is properly done, it will never resist. That is you can see here. Slowly we have started doing it. Of course, wherever necessary, we give additional strengthened it by putting a beam. Here we are giving a base of stone, of a brick stone, so that it will sit over it. So, some of the techniques of conservation elements brought back. Of course, each and every is measured, and we got to bring it. The interesting aspect is that is whatever you bring it, because the temple has gone inside. It has to project outside because about 5 feet, 6 feet we have to project, bring it and just abutting it to the main shrine. Then only it will stand. But that was possible because of these materials used and also techniques adapted, and also the entire strength is on the wall only. That is what we call it, the dead load is on the main wall, and also you see slowly there is of course you calculate very carefully. One architect from Saravanan, he helped us to calculate and bring it back to its original shape. Slowly there is calculating and bringing it and abutting it and bringing the structure to this level. You can see in our level. Of course we use only the same material. This is the thing how they did it. If they ever want it, there is an old wall. You erect the new wall, you slowly just bring it and give the architectural features and bring it back. Of course, when you place this very, because now we have brought it to this level slowly. But this is the thing which I said. The central part was very what you call empty. It was having filled up with the earth or materials which are less stronger than the wall. That is only sand or whatever stronger than the wall. It's like the wall. So this is the Tanjavur. As I told you, there is inner wall of Tanjavur. How they converted this knowledge of the architects, the square into a circle at the top. Of course, contrary to theory of perishable, of course, that we don't go into that controversy now. You can see here, how this the temple section you can see. The sunlight is only empty to the top. This is the same model in Tanjavur also they adapted. You can see. That is, they have taken it. Central is only, it is not filled up with strong materials. It is only this lesser thrust materials. The corbels, we never wanted to build the one wall and another wall. They only the corbel. You can see. This is the thing which they have done it till the top. What they have done there, Of course, there is it is unfinished, but finished, but we could not trace it, but we now restored it. This is the Tanjavur, where they have done meticulously the same technique. You see the section, but the central section is like that. What you have seen in the brick architecture, that is the same thing have been adapted in even the stone architecture also. This is the Vittin the Perumal, who is waiting in the ground floor to just go to his original position. This is the before and now. But the thing is, what we want to say, the elements of Indian architecture especially, as I told you, it is always gives scope, not only in Tamil Nadu, throughout if you see it, gives scope for you to, that is, work on it and bring it back to its original shape. That is the only thing. But of course, even the materials are there. We generally say that is, even if temple is cracked, of course, if it is a crack is more than, of course, I could not show you the video, but in Uttaram Error, there was a Shiva temple, that is Kailasanatha temple, which is the wall was cracked into 4 feet, that is a sanctum wall. But we never pulled it down, but we stitched it and brought it back to this original shape. Like that, so many temples we could. Because this was possible, not because of our skill, because it was possible because of the skill used by them. They used the materials used by them. If they used lesser materials, what you call it, that is inferior materials, this may not go with that. You have seen in that even Vitrinda temple, that is, we could do it because the materials which we are making should go with that. That is possible. That it will accept it. If you put cement, it will not accept it. That is the thing, even many of the temples, even some of the gopuras have fallen down because they, instead of using the lime, they use cement. Of course, if you use cement through, it is okay throughout. But if it is a lime, same thing. So these are the things which those people have taught us or given us, which we can restore. These are the basic elements of the Indian architecture, especially our Tamil Nadu. So I again thankful to you. Of course, they wanted to show me some elements of the architecture. I thought it is better you know something about the instead of going technically. Of course, Professor Saab may say more on technically, but anyway, I wanted to show you that is how it is possible for us in restoration also because of the basic nature of the thing. Because I am thankful to Rajendran. If Rajendran has come out of closer areas. So I think, thank you all for patience. Thank you.
Question, sir? One or two questions.
Namaskaram, sir. I just have one query regarding, was there any variation between the brick size of Selavankappan and this temple that has been recently renovated?
Selavankappan may be the same, I think. I don't remember immediately, but 17 into 30, it was some same. Sangamage period has got 2 or 3 variations.
Okay.
One is in Kavarivapattinam. This what I showed is in Kavarivapattinam. In Selavankappan, the outer walls are of the same type, but inner walls, of course, the 3 courses are only, that is laterite. So we could not say anything in that particular. But outer, what happened, as I told you, after the 2nd century, 4th century tsunami, the Pallavas, that is reconstructed it. So we have more Pallava bricks. But the lower part is, of course, it's published, you can see that from the reports. Of course, we given the size of the brick also. I don't immediately remember the sizes. They are all
similar.
Sangamage bricks, no doubt in it.
You have to study the associated materials also. Associated material, that is more important. Forget about the brick size. What about the associated material? That is more important. For example, pottery, then terracotta figurines. So they are all important. They should be considered.
That's interesting.
Coins.
Of course, we have studied it, that only brought it. There is one terracotta figure, of course, this was not the particular presentation not for that particular site, but we got a Kuravai Kuthu, a panel describing, narrating Kuravai Kuthu was found, an elephant was found, lands were found, and also more than that, there is scientifically it is dated, C14 dating. The materials which were seen in the section were taken, and that is probably they were all remains from the sea. Of course, they were dated by this Oxford University. They gave the date about 380 plus or minus. That is the reason why we say it is pre-Pallava period.
Thank you, Doctor, for an illuminating lecture. You had mentioned temples are also used for astronomical observations. Can you elaborate a little
No,
bit
actually,
on that?
that is what we perceive the temples as a place of worship or place only for spiritual center, or as I told you, just to go and see the main sanctum and come back. But there are so many things which are buried in it. One is astronomical, because they are the instruments. Of course, if you have a structure for thousands of years, you must just know how it stands. Of course, as I told you, some people have come recently, brought to my notice that some of the temples have tilted than the north-south. Even in Tanjavur, they say it is tilted. That is to certain degree, but I don't want to tell the degrees because I don't have authentic records. But it is tilted. So the ancient people, the Sthapatis could not have done that mistake. But we have to go more, because the same period temples we will take throughout Tamil Nadu, or at least in the region, and find whether all the temples are tilted or only this is a mistake done. This is the reason why some further research is required by people who are interested in astronomical records. It is only a simple thing. Nowadays it is very easy. When we started the career, it was east, south, lines. Now so many instruments are there. Very easily you can fix it. Okay. Thank you.
Namaskaram, sir. Thank you, sir, for your very excellent lecture with lots of illustrations. I'm sorry, the slides and so on. I'm glad that you mentioned about North Amlai, sir. Pudukkottai district. I come from North Amlai. I thank you so much, sir. And there are a number of temples in Pudukkottai district, like Pragadambal, Avadiyar Kovil, Poppankottai.
Kodumbalur.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Just to mention, and thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.